People love a good future sport. Well, at least fictional future sports have been used as a plot device in movies for decades. I can't believe we don't have an actual rollerball league yet. Video games are no different. Whether it's blitzball or hyperblade or anything in between, this concept has been around for a while. Even Pokemon is basically fantasy cockfighting with fictional creatures, which is technically a sport. RIGS matches take place in huge stadiums with thousands of fans cheering you on. I have to believe that as soon as we have the technology to make this a thing in real life, it will be. But for now, we'll have to be satisfied with experiencing it in virtual reality. For this review, I want to focus on graphics and immersion, gameplay, the single-player experience, and then at the end I'll have some final thoughts. As far as graphics go, this is a great looking game. Of course it's not as crisp as a normal PS4 game. PSVR games run at lower resolutions to keep the frame rate up. It is, however, one of the better looking games in the launch lineup. I keep saying there's nothing like being in the headset, experiencing it for yourself, and RIGS is no different. From the time you load up the game, you know you're in for a ride. This game may have the most amazing intro I've ever seen. The title screen alone shows you what virtual reality is capable of in terms of immersion. Team logos fly past you, mechs whiz by, leap, or just walk right over your head. It's a sight to behold, and that's just the opening cutscene. Once you're in the cockpit of a mech, you are fully immersed in the world. You have all the information you need on display as if you're reading various instruments inside the cockpit. There's no standard video game heads-up display here. Even when you're out of the mech, talking to your crew chief or riding in the team plane, you feel present in this world. This game has been designed from the ground up to be a virtual reality esport, and it shows. The action is fast-paced, and the gameplay modes and arenas make RIGS feel much more like a sport than a first-person shooter or mech combat game. There are 3 modes of play. Team Takedown is a straight-up deathmatch where each takedown counts for 1 point, and the team with the most takedowns at the end of the match wins. Then there's End Zone, a little bit capture the flag, a little bit football, and a little soccer. And you score a touchdown by running a virtual ball through the end zone. And you can pass it to your teammates and steal it from the other team. And the team with the most touchdowns at the end of the match wins. The last mode is Power Slam. In this mode, a team scores when one of its players goes into overdrive and jumps through a hoop in the middle of the arena. Overdrive is achieved by collecting power-ups around the arena and taking down opponents. This is supposed to be the game's signature mode, but honestly, it's my least favorite. Whether you're playing Team Takedown, End Zone, or Power Slam, your mech has 3 power modes you can switch to on the fly. One is for speed, one is to repair your mech, and one is for increasing the impact of your weapons. And when you're in overdrive, all 3 power modes are active at the same time. The game offers a variety of control and menu options to make the experience as comfortable as possible. When you load the game for the first time, it will guide you through this setup process and let you figure out which setting you prefer. The thing is, while in the virtual world, different things make different players sick. For some, it's the movement. For others, moving around a virtual world may be fine, but when an opponent takes you down in RIGS, you're ejected up into the air to select a respawn point. Now, this has a whole different effect and may affect completely different people that are totally fine with moving around the world. And you may choose to turn that off in favor of a simple menu system if you can't handle the heights. The controls are basically first-person shooter controls with one exception. You aim your weapons with your head movement. I love this control scheme. In my opinion, it's superior to even the mouse and keyboard. Now, I've talked before about the different techniques that developers are using to try and minimize motion sickness. And aside from the setup options, Gorilla Cambridge employs 2 techniques during gameplay to keep your experience a comfortable one. You are seated in a static cockpit so that all the motion is happening outside the mech, and you don't feel like you're floating through the air. Also, when you turn quickly, your field of vision narrows in an iris effect, similar to what Ubisoft uses for Eagle Flight. Anything the developer could do to decrease motion sickness is welcomed here because the action can get a little hectic at times. Now, the single-player experience gives you more content than you might expect. Still, it plays out like a sports game with light story elements. You're on a team, competing in this futuristic sport. You play through a season, competing in single matches and tournaments, signing with sponsors and trading your teammates for better players. And with the money you get from completing sponsorship challenges, you can buy new uniforms and other gear. You can also go to the showroom and purchase new mechs with different abilities and weapon loadouts. You also strive for solo accolades throughout the season. One of the coolest things in the game is when you win MVP of a match and you watch a miniature hologram version of yourself on the table in front of you, replaying your celebration. And this all takes place on the team plane between matches. Just riding on the plane was an immersive experience. I leaned over to look out the window at the clouds and enjoyed the view just as I do when I actually fly. The arenas themselves are set in cities around the world, and the view is always impressive. RIGS is currently one of the few games on PSVR that at least feels like a full-fledged game. It's fast-paced, fun, and immersive. If you're a fan of the esports style shooters, you'll probably love this game. Thank you for taking the time to watch this review, and I want to leave you with this thought. Virtual reality, and PSVR in particular, has many naysayers. RIGS is just one example of why they're wrong.